Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Anita and this is Sewing Yogi. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed. I am really over the moon with it. I just shocked still that people want to watch my vlogs. So thank you so very much. And to anyone who wishes to subscribe, then please click the subscribe button if you like what you see, and you will be getting notifications of all the vlogs that I put on. And so I'll get started. So this is a little bit late. I intended to do this last week, which was the big reveal for the Frugal frocks. However, I had just a bit of a rubbish March, to be honest. I've got to be frank and say that I had a bit of a rubbishy time emotionally. March is not a good month for me anyway. There's lots of things that happen in March that I don't look forward to. I won't go into them and bore you all. But yes, so I have a bit of a tough time in March, and it was doubly worse because my dad was ill and lots of other things were happening with my dad. And he doesn't live near me. He lives, I'd say, a good 5-hour drive away from me. So I couldn't just jump into a car and get to him. And so that was a bit of a worrying time, and then I got a little bit ill. I think I was probably just run down. Yes, so it was a bit of a rubbish time. So this Frugal Frocks challenge was actually such a wonderful escapism, and I threw myself into it and I loved every second of it. I think it was just because I was feeling so overwhelmed with what everything was going on and a bit down in the dumps. So yeah, it was amazing, and I'm so grateful to Sam from Frugalissima and Rowan from the Yorkshire Sew Girl, because I think from what I've seen on Instagram, I think everyone felt the same, that we really needed this. We needed something to brighten our days. Whether you're in lockdown or not, it's still really a tough time. The whole world is going through a tough time right now. So I think it was a wonderful way of escaping all of that and just getting on with some sewing. And I made a dress which I probably wouldn't have normally made. And I did think I would make it at some point, but I wasn't going to make it anytime soon. And when I saw it, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to make this dress. So you would have, if you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen what I made. And it is this dress here, the Maxi Dress, and it's a free pattern that came with, I think it's Simply Sewing magazine. Yeah, Simply Sewing magazine. Now, my mother-in-law gave me this pattern. She has a subscription to it, and she had this last year and she didn't want to make it, so she sent it to me, and I thought, wow, you know, I could make it, give it a go at some point, but I didn't really think I was going to make it so soon, and I'm so glad I did, because I absolutely love it. Now, I made it in the fabric that you may have seen if you do watch me on Instagram. I have it down here. I have some left. I did buy quite a lot of this fabric, but I made it in this viscose with a black background and the red and sort of pinky sort of flowers on it, and I love it. Now, the pattern itself was quite a good pattern. There was one issue I found in the instructions which I thought was a little bit odd, but I don't know whether sometimes they do this on purpose to test your brain. There was a little issue I had, I think it may have been with the cuff. Was it the cuff? Constructing the sleeves, yes. So there's one part where you create your cuff, but the way it does it is the wrong way around, in my opinion. They tell you to do a step, I think it's when you're coming to press it. Now normally when you're making a cuff, you press it first with wrong sides together, so you get your lovely line where you know that you've got to fold it, and so when you've got it actually on, it makes it easier to sort of fold it over, whereas this doesn't tell you to do that, and I think it needed that, so I changed it slightly, and I've written down in here, do this first, in big letters, because I just felt they did it the wrong way around. So if you have this pattern, then just check that when you're about to make the cuffs for the sleeves. I prefer to iron in all my seam allowances and the little fold in the middle, so that you've got all your crease lines ready. So when you're actually pinning it on the sleeve, it just makes it easier. When you flip it over, you've already got your kind of marks in there. And this tells you to do it a bit of a stupid way, which, you know, I did my first one the stupid way, and I was a bit frustrated, took it all apart and then did it again. But apart from that, the pattern is actually really, really easy. And the only difficult parts, I would say, in this pattern is the construction of the front panel. So you'll see on here, you might not be able to see it that well on this picture, but there is a kind of yoke sort of panel here that goes in, and you have to attach that to the sort of top bodice part here, and that can be challenging with doing the little point that sits right there. Now, I've done them before, but I hadn't done them in a long time, and so when it came to doing it, I'd forgotten all my little tips that I have, and I tried to put it in, and then I'd already snipped into the seam allowance, which is what you're meant to do, and then realised, oh yeah, these bits are a bit difficult. Normally what I do is I hand stitch them in, just a few stitches at that point there before putting it under the machine. It just makes it much easier to then try and get that really tight little corner, because you're trying to get fabric into, I can only say it's two opposing shapes that go together. And yeah, I found that one a little bit challenging, but once it was in, there's a tiny little pleat in there, but yeah, I'm not bothered. I was just like, I don't care, get on with it. Yeah, and then I would say the next part that is a little challenging is just all the gathering. So much gathering. My eyes were fuzzy by the end of all the gathering of the little skirt tiers. But you know, you don't have to make it maxi length. I think you could probably make it a shorter length and just chop off some tiers. And I didn't add the frills, so there's meant to be like little frills. You can see that, little frills that go in between each tier. I didn't bother to put those in. I didn't have enough fabric. Well, I say I didn't have enough fabric. I did have enough fabric, but I didn't want to cut into any more fabric, just wasting time on those, and I couldn't be bothered. And I also don't think I would have liked them. I don't think it's very me. I'm not very big on frills. So yeah, and I made a size, let me check my notes. So I made a size 8 on the bust and the shoulders, and then I graded down to a 10 for the waist. Now I think I probably could have just done an 8 over the whole thing, because it came up quite big on me. The shoulders were big, the chest area was big, the waist is big. So yeah, for me it came up quite large. So I think if you were going to make this dress, then you're probably quite safe to go with your, you know, exact measurements on here, or even maybe slightly under. I think, what does it say for a size 8? So it says for a size 8 to fit a 32.5 inch bust. Now mine's 33.5 inches. And the waist, it's meant to fit a 25 inch waist. Now my waist is 28 inches. So there's a lot of ease in this pattern. I think it's meant to be quite oversized anyway from the picture. I think it's meant to be quite sort of floaty, big, billowy, bohemian style dress. So what I had to do was I had to sew down one seam on both sides, just from the armpit, and kind of curve it inwards. And you know, I did it quite a lot, a good 2 inches I'd say either side, and that was just to cinch in that billowing that you get here. I know it is meant to be sort of like, you know, quite, whatever the word is, flouncy, but as I've said before in any of my previous vlogs, I'm not that great with flouncy stuff around the top area here. I'm too small for that, it doesn't work for me. So yeah, and then I cut off 6 inches off the entire length of the skirt. So I took off 2 inches off each tier. And I just worked that out from, they give you the measurements for the length of the whole dress, and I literally just chopped off what I thought was going to work, and it worked out perfectly. It worked out exactly as where I wanted it to be. I'm just looking at my notes, sorry. I took off 1 3/8 of an inch off the sleeve length, and I probably could have just took a tiny little bit more, just to make it a little bit more. And then and you could have put buttons on this one as well. You can put buttons down the front, but I didn't have any buttons in my stash, and I didn't want to buy any because that wasn't the point of the you know, the challenge. It was about having stuff in your stash, so I didn't bother with that. And it used about I think it was 3.5 meters. Yeah, I think I used about 3.5 meters on this. Let me think. 3 meters. Actually, did it 3 meters? No, I may have used 3 meters, but it says to use 3.5 meters. Again, that's probably because I lobbed off 6 inches off the length for me because I'm only small. Yeah, and I think that's basically it. That's all I did for that. And you know, I really, really love it. It is big. It does look big on me. But as you'll see from the pictures, I put a belt on just to show it looks a bit better when it's cinched in. I haven't really got a belt that works well with it, so I think when the shop's open again, I might have a look, see if I can find a good belt that may work with it. But the one I had looked okay, so I thought, well, maybe I could get away with just wearing a little belt. But yeah, I love it. I can't wait for the summer. I mean, you know, it's actually snowing today. It's really, really freezing cold here. And here is the maxi dress that I made. It's big. It's very, very roomy, I'd say. Very, very roomy. But you get a lovely panel on the front here. It's like a sort of section here that's inside, a bit like a tea dress actually. Tea dresses tend to have this extra panel. You have a little bit of gathering here underneath the bust area, and gathered all around the under the skirt, and then you get each tier has gathering in it. The back has the same gathers, just by the waist here, and then you have a zip that goes down the middle. Now I've remembered that I did actually have to take some out of this back part here because it was very gaping. As I said, it was quite big all over this pattern. So what I did, I just literally cinched that in at the top and made it much, much closer in. And that actually helped with pulling up the shoulder seam as well, because the shoulder seam was just hanging off very slightly. So that's just pulled that up a little bit. I could have probably taken this back in a little bit more at the zip here, but I just couldn't be bothered. I just wanted to get it done and wear it, really. I just wanted to get it on. I was just so chuffed with it. I just thought, well, it's probably better if it is a bit bigger. If it's summer, it's going to be hot, especially on holiday. You might want it to be a bit looser. Yeah, and it's all finished nicely inside. You have the facing on the inside here. And then facing on the back, and I've overlocked all the edges here just to make it nice and neat. And you probably could French seam these, but I've tried it French seaming and it looks lovely, but it adds probably a good week onto the length of time it takes me to sew it up, so I just don't bother. I just overlock them. But yeah, I love it. I absolutely love, love, love it. I really, really love it. It's my favourite make for a long time, actually, I think. Yeah, and I'm just going to wear it with some simple white trainers. It's going to be a relaxed sort of dress, I think, for me. I'm going to wear this to meet my friend when we're allowed to meet. I'm going to go out, meet her in this dress with my trainers, little denim jacket, and have a Prosecco. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Have a Prosecco. Can't wait. So there you go. There's my Frugal Frocks 2021 reveal. And then I got some other things made, which I said in my my March plans. I wanted to make a couple of other things. Well, I only said I was going to make one thing, but I managed to squeeze in two things. So the second thing I made was the Edie top by Sew Over It. So I don't have any notes to hand for this one, but off the top of my head, I know that I had to take the shoulder in, or move that shoulder seam over by 1 centimetre. So I just did a small shoulder adjustment, literally just slashed into the pattern pieces, cut a sort of square. You cut kind of a square into that armhole, and then you just move it over, and then add a piece of paper to the bit that's missing, just so that the neckline sits a bit further over, because I found that it sat far too far over for me. You could see my bra strap, and then the shoulder seam was kind of falling off my shoulder. Taking it in a centimetre, it probably could have come in a little bit more, to be honest, but I just thought it's fine as it is. I think it's okay. And the fabric that I used this time was a lot more drapier and softer, so it seems to sit a bit baggier on me. And I think I made an 8 on the top, and then I graded to a 10, and I probably could have just gone with an 8 again. But it's no big deal, it's fine, it looks okay on me. And you'll see in the picture that I've inserted, it's a lovely red and white stripe. I love stripes anyway, as you can see. So yeah, I think it looks really nice, and I'm really pleased with it. And again, it's really fast pattern, doesn't take too long, it's really easy to make, that one. I'd already had that cut out anyway, so it was just an easy one that I could quickly get in. Here is my Edie top, my lovely red and white stripes, and you can just see I've got one of my labels in there. I just had these printed on Amazon, and it says Neat made this. Now, Neat is my nickname that my family given me, and my closest friends call me Neat. It just reminds me of mostly my brother. My brother was just always called me Neat, so that's why it's Neat made this. Yeah, and I love them. I love these Edie tops. I think they're so easy to make. They're so versatile. You can wear them with jeans, put them under things, pinafore dresses. Yeah, and it's nice and light. I haven't yet wore it yet because it just hasn't been warm enough. I mean, we had a couple of warm days last week. It was 2 warm days, but I chose to wear my jumpsuit instead. Yeah, it's really nice. I love it. So yeah, nice and summery. Thinking of beach days on that. I don't know why I think it's maybe think of the beach. Oh, beach. Yeah, so yeah, there you go. That's the Edie. So then the third item I made was one that I squeezed in last second, because I just previously bought some new patterns, and if you watched my previous vlog of all the patterns that I bought, then you'll know this one. I made the Jolanda top. Now, I can't say the name of the maker or the pattern company. Here's my little instructions here. Atelier Vicoli number 6, I think that is. Sorry if I've got that wrong. But yeah, so I made this top. I thought I'd give it a go. Now, when I first started tracing it off, I hadn't realised there was no seam allowance added. When I started to read the instructions, and it's a good job I looked at the instructions, to be honest, because I never normally look at instructions, only till I've done everything practically, got it cut out and everything. So I quickly scanned over and thought, there's no seam allowances, so I had to add the seam allowances. And there is two pieces that you don't have to add the seam allowances to, and I just thought, well, if you're going to add seam allowances to 2, why not just put seam allowances to all of the pieces? Why have you left the rest without seam allowances? Anyway, so I was a bit frustrated, carried on, got through it, got to the seam allowances on there, fine. It's a bit confusing as well, because the way that the instructions are written, if you're going to do this pattern, I would suggest print out the instructions, whereas I was just looking at it on the laptop, and you have to scroll up to the top, scroll down to the bottom, scroll back up to the top, scroll down to the bottom. Yeah, so if you're making the one version which is sleeveless, the instructions are down the bottom. If you're making the versions with the sleeves, then that's at the top. But then to get to a point with the top, you have to go down to the bottom to read that bit and see what those instructions are. But then you have to flip back up to the top to go back to where the sleeves are. I found this really frustrating and really confusing. My brain couldn't cope. And then the sizing. I obviously know that this is, I think it's an Italian pattern, so the sizes will be slightly different. and I kind of just guessed. I looked at the sizes that they had on there, and they don't have finished garment sizes from what I remember. It's just the sizes of your body, and you have to just go with that. So my personal opinion is that the top has come out big for me. I would have made it smaller, but I was just going with what they said, and I assume that they have quite a lot of ease in this top, and I couldn't really find any good pictures of the top. The one that they have on the website is very vague. You can't really see it very well, and then I think there's a couple of pictures where it's dark fabric, so you can't really see what it looks like. So anyway, I made the size 42 for the top, and then I graded down to a 44 for the bottom, and I probably could have just made 40. And then maybe graded to a 42 for the waist, but it comes up quite big on me, I think, and I'm umming and ahhing of whether I like it. I think I'd said previously in the previous vlog that I wasn't sure because of the frill. I love the idea of it, it looks lovely on everyone else, but I'm not very sure of it on me. So I've made it, and I made it in this beautiful viscose, floral viscose again. It was just in my stash. I think I only had just under 2 meters of it, so I didn't really know what to do with it anyway. And it's been in there for probably about 2 years now. So I just thought I'll try it with that fabric. I didn't know whether it was going to work or not, but I thought I'd give it a go. And you know, I like it, but there's certain parts of it where I'm thinking, oh, do I really like it? Don't know. I've put some pictures in here so that you can see what I look like in it. And I've tried it with different jeans, and I'm like, oh, I don't know I don't know, I just can't make my mind up whether I like it or not. And I think it looks lovely as it is when it's hung up on the hanger, but then when it goes on me, I'm like, oh, I don't know if it really works with my body shape. So yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? I think I've tried it on a few times. I've tried tucking it in. I've done a French tuck at the front because I know that looks really cool on some people. Again, doesn't really work on me. I can't get away with it because I've got a really short body and really long legs. So it just throws the balance out of my body and I just look odd. So I can't do the French tuck. Then I've tried tucking it in at the back. Now I don't know whether the laws of fashion state that this is a no-no or not. Whether this exists is reverse of a French tuck, where you just tuck it in at the back. Now that seems to work on me. That looked okay. And again, you'll see on the pictures. It just seems to balance out my body. I don't know if it's just because I've got an enormous bum and I'm quite curvy. I'm small, but I'm curvy. I've said this before. But I just can't get away with tucking anything in my jeans. I just look, and I've been like this since I was 16. And when I was 16, I was probably about a size 2. I was miniature. I just don't have the right body shape for tucking things in. Anyway, I'll just try not to diss myself too much, but you know, you can't help it sometimes. You can't help with the body you've been given. So yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. I keep putting it on, taking it off, putting it on. Anyway, I'm not sure my husband likes it. He looked at it and was like a bit, oh, you know. But, you know, who cares what he thinks anyway? I'll wear it if I want to wear it. But yeah, I'm just not sure about it. So anyway, the pattern itself, like I say, it's one of those, I would probably recommend this to someone who's just starting out on sewing. I think if you have a bit more knowledge of sewing, then you're probably going to be fine with it. Just be prepared to be scrolling up and down constantly, giving yourself a headache, and checking those instructions. Check those instructions. I had to read them. Some of them I had to read like 3 or 4 times, head scratching, like, what does it mean by this? What does it mean? And I worked it out. And there was some actual parts of it where I've learned something, because I've never done a cuff before where you have a little opening and the little tie. Yeah, I should have actually got the top. I'll go and get the top so you can see it back in a second. Okay, so here we are. Has a lovely little frill on the front, beautiful little frill. And again, I just don't know whether it looks nice on me, but I love the fabric and I think it's so sweet, this fabric with the little flowers on it. and then the little cuff. So you have this little cuff here with a little tie. I've never made one of these before, where you have a little air vent on the side. So it's got a little vent here, a little hole. I've never made anything like that before, so I don't know if you can see that. Is it going to focus? Just about. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, it's got a cute little tie. Now that was new to me. I've never done one of those before. And it was interesting. It was challenging. I got through it. Again, the instructions are not amazing for that, so you know, if you're beginning on your sewing journey, I'd say steer clear with this one for now. Give it a few months of practicing other techniques. And then again, this here, I've never done one of these before, which again is just a case of gathering a strip of fabric, but it doesn't really, there's no notches on there to give you any guide of where you're supposed to be putting things. You just have to make it up. And in fact, I found that actually there's not many notches on any of the pattern pieces, not that I remember. So yeah, you're having to just make it up as best you go. And I actually have got the bias binding. I just accidentally cut out the bias binding pieces for the armhole if you wanted to do the sleeveless version. And because I do actually like the sleeves, but I think I've made them a bit too long. I think they just sit too long on me, and I think it would have been better to have them a bit shorter. So I thought, well, if I really disliked them, I could take the sleeves off and then put that bias binding on to do the sleeveless version. But yeah, I'm not sure. I think because of the way you make it up, it's a very strange way that you make this up as well, because you don't normally, in woven fabric, you normally stitch up your side seams first, stitch up your side seams on the arm sleeves, and then sort of set your sleeve in. Whereas this, you do it the way you would if you were doing a jersey top, where you leave the sides open and you leave the sleeve open and you attach the sleeve head that way. I mean, it's nice and easy to do it that way, but then I just found it got a bit sort of convoluted towards these bottom bits. Just thought it was a bit, a bit faffy. It could have been done an easier way, I think. I don't know whether anyone else has found that, if they've made this. Let me know if you have made it and you thought it was probably perfectly fine. It was just me having my meltdown in March. I just couldn't cope with it. Maybe if I'd have done it another time, it would have been fine. But yeah, I just found it to be just a little bit ambiguous, is the right word. It's a bit ambiguous as to what you were doing with these side bits, and I struggled a little bit. And now I've done them, I would be okay doing them again. But yeah, and you get the nice little detail on the back. But you get, this was quite nice, the way you do this bit at the back here, the little air vent again, and then the button detail here, because it does have a back seam. That was really nice, the way that was done. So certain parts of it are done really nicely, and again the top, the facing is done in a really nice way as well. I found that to be nice, and a neat way of sewing it in. But yeah, there was good parts and there was dodgy parts of that one, I'd say. So yeah, that is everything that I made in my March plans. I'm really chuffed that I got 3 things done, because I only thought I was going to get 2 done. But yeah, I'm really, really happy with my makes, apart from that Jolanda top. Still not sure of that. If you've got any comments on that, what you think of that, then please let me know. It could be a case I've just made a size too big and it's just a bit too big for me, and then I'm thinking it doesn't look right on me. But if it was smaller, it would probably look fine. But yeah, please let me know. Comment if you wish to comment. Nice things, please. I'm a sensitive soul, so I can't deal with criticism. I will have a meltdown and cry. Thank you. So yeah, if you liked this vlog, please hit the like button. And again, if you would like to subscribe, then please subscribe and hit the bell button, because if you hit the bell, then you will get notifications of when my next vlogs are coming up. And my next vlog will probably be my April plans. And I haven't even looked at what I'm going to make in April yet. I'm umming and ahhing, I can't decide. I'm in a kind of phase of not really sure of what to make, whether to make something for myself, or actually I should probably make something for my husband. Thought about maybe making something for my dad as well, just because he maybe needs cheering up right now. And yeah, so yeah, I'm not sure of what I'm going to make yet, but hopefully I'll get that done by the end of this week and then put that up for you. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed watching my reveal, and apologies again for this being late. And also in my frugal frocks vlog, I only showed, well, I didn't even show you any patterns, did I? I didn't show you any patterns, I just showed you fabrics, which I must apologise for. But at the time, I was really quite stressed with everything going on, and my brain couldn't cope. My brain just couldn't cope with looking at different patterns. I'd had the patterns out ready, and then it came to it. I just had no energy to actually show you all the patterns, so I eliminated that bit. So I do apologise for being so slack, but yeah, I just was having a bit of a rough time. So I hope you can forgive me, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Thanks so very much for watching. Have a lovely day, take care of yourselves, and sending you so much love and light as always. Bye.